Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem, amma ba'd. In our last class, we were discussing the theory of rights. So we discussed the word hukuk, and the word hukuk has a kind of two meanings, because there is a meaning that there is a right that you should be entitled. At the same time, there is also the obligations that you should fulfill. So both of them equally, both of them combined in the word hukuk. So we talked about the definition, we talked about the pillars of the rights. So we talked about three pillars: Sahibul Haq, the owner of the right; Mahal al-Haq, the subject matter; and then Man alayhi al-Haq, the person who is under the obligation, the one who's supposed to do. Let's say if there is a borrower is under obligation to return his debt, so borrower become number three, Man alayhi al-Haq. So when we discussed the classification of rights. So we wanted to categorize it, how many types of rights that we can categorize. So the first one, we categorized it according to rights of Allah and then rights of human being, huququllah, huququn nas. Also we discussed there are some rulings has combined rights. For example, the retaliation, the qisas, and also the defamation, the qazaf. So these are the things has two elements in it. There is also rights of Allah, there is also rights of human being. Number two, we are today going to talk about, we wanted to categorize these rights. So we wanted to see in a way like it is a financial and non-financial rights. So financial rights are those that are related to property or its usufruct, or rights that may arise from commercial transactions. So usually any transaction that has a financial value, definitely it will bring you the financial rights. So when you buy something, when you rent out something, when you hire a Grab, or you order something online, so every single transaction that you are doing which has a financial values, which is actually kind of a mutual transaction, which is a kind of changing, lending and borrowing, or maybe selling and buying, whatever it happens, it comes with financial rights. Example, a tenant has a right to stay in a house which he has rented. Of course, if I rented your house, I have to stay for 30 days, for a month. It is my right to stay. A lender in loan contract has the right to claim his loan. The same thing goes to intellectual properties, copyrights, trade, logos, and franchise. You can also notice that if there is a TV shows that aired, that broadcast, there is a time limit for that kind of thing. There is also, if there is a trademark or logo, there is also if you are doing franchise and then you are using some other company's logo in your business, so there is a timeline for that. So all these things comes under the financial rights. So these are the things are there. So for example, you can also see if there is a car company is actually using a different car product manufacturer, but using their logo in that. It happens. Sometimes you can see some cars belong to different companies, like for example Honda, and then the local company will use that car, exactly the same car from Honda, but it will use its logo, the local company's logo. So it is all comes under just because they bought the franchise and then they are using it, they have the right to use it. So it comes in that way. Similarly, options of defect or conditions and or inspection. So these options, there is a separate chapter for it. Probably after a few weeks we are going to talk about it. It is called khiyar in Arabic, which means that when you buy something, you have the option to return. Like today, what we call a refund, return and refund, right? Return and refund in fiqh, it is called options, meaning khiyar. When there is a damage in a product, you have all the right to return. That's how you do business. You that's how you buy something and they will sell it to you, but you have all the rights. Within certain period of time you should report. If there is a problem, then you can actually return the product, and then they will give you back the money, or they will return you the same product, I mean the good product. So these are all the rights that you have, the financial rights. When you buy something, definitely you need to use it. And sometimes they even say that you have 1 year warranty or 5 years warranty. So which means these are the financial rights you have. When you have problem, you have all the right to ask them to repair it, ask them to change it. So this is how, on the condition, there are few conditions, upon those conditions we buy these kind of things. Similarly, hiwala is something that money is like a money exchange. Tradability is one of the important issues concerning financial rights. Example, a creditor could sell his debt at a discount to the debtor himself, but not to a third person. So this is something, what today banks are doing. Like for example, I have to pay something to the bank, but at the end of the day I was not able to pay. Then there is another party would like to pay. So it's like a transferring. It's called hiwala. Hiwala, the meaning itself is like transferring from one candidate to another candidate, one person to another person. So this kind of things also happening. Let's say I bought a product or property from bank, and I have to pay to the bank, but I was not able to pay. Now the bank is the owner of the product, owner of the property. So the bank actually can sell it to somebody if I'm not able to pay. So this is what comes under hiwala. So this is all financial financial rights, what we call it. But and then you have the non-financial rights, the thing that we have so many other rights which has no financial values. For example, the rights of the parents. Definitely we know this is actually social rights. This is family rights, you can say, or human to human. It's like it comes under human rights, but it is not financial rights, which means that you cannot transfer your parenting to somebody. It is not possible, right? The same thing goes to the rights of the minors, the children, the rights of the husband and wife, the custody of the rights of the citizens, authorities of the states, all these things. For example, voting, right? Voting is your right. For any election comes, so the election commission will ask you to go for voting. So this voting is your right to do. You cannot sell voting because it is not possible, because it is not a commodity to sell. So if someone comes and say, okay, I give you 1,000, you vote for me, which is actually not possible because it's not financial rights. Then we have number 3, the category. We talk about rights over persons and rights over property. So again, there are a few examples will come again and again. Like I told you last time when I was teaching you the property, I told you the examples might come again and again, the same similar examples. But you need to understand that here we are categorizing, like last time we were categorizing property like the closet, your dress. Here also we do the same thing to the rights. So now number 3, rights over a person, and then you have rights over a property. You just need to understand how these things are how these things are different. Rights over a person, like what we discussed earlier, all those financial rights will come under this. Rights over a person is like a rights over humans, or those that Sharia has assigned to one person over another. Example, parties to a contract of sale or under obligation to exchange the sold items and the price. So it is simple and same like last time. So if I sell something, I say saya jual, and then you say saya beli. So which means that this thing, when you pay me 10 ringgit, so it is my my obligation is actually to give you something, and then your right is actually you entitled to receive something from me because you already paid 10 ringgit. So this is what actually right over person. A debtor is under obligation to settle his debt to the creditor, and a husband is under obligation to provide maintenance to his wife. It is called nafaqah, right? Every husband should pay nafaqah. It's not the other way around. And in fact, it's not necessary for any women to share the nafaqah. It is not compulsory. Women are going to work. Women are working only because they want to help the husband, but it is not compulsory. A husband cannot come and say you should share the nafaqah. It is not Sharia. It is not Islamic. It is not nikah. So if the husband and wife together, they wanted to run a family, so they wanted to work together, and then they wanted to take care of the children, it is up to the wife. That's because she is generous enough to share to the family. She is generous all the time. She is generous because she takes care of the kids, and then she takes care of the house, and then she also work. So this is something that she is doing beyond her her ability, even though she can do, because most of the time women are multitaskers. They are very good in multitasking, compared to men. So women are multitasking. So it means that they actually can do, they can work, they can earn money, but any husband, any Muslim husband cannot make it compulsory to any woman that she should pay for nafaqah. So now coming back to nafaqah, it is something that husband, when he marry, when do the aqad, the moment that he make aqad, he say that qabiltu, I accept the marriage, it starts. The nafaqah starts. He has to provide maintenance, which is nafaqah, which means the accommodation for the wife, and also dress, and also food. So these are the things on men. So so make sure that all the boys, make sure that you prepare yourself for this. But whatever the wife is giving, it is alhamdulillah. If she wants to share, which is actually very good, but she can also earn for herself, for her own things to buy. It is up to her. The husband cannot stop. Whatever she earn, it is her own inheritance, it is her own property. There is nothing to share with husband. All right. So this is how Islam says. That's why the nafaqah is important. And man, like I said here, husband is under obligation. See, obligation. So when I say husband is under obligation to provide maintenance, which means wife is entitled to receive rights. So this is the wife's right to receive the maintenance. For example, if a husband refuses to pay maintenance, the wife can go to mahkamah. The wife can go to mahkamah and complain and report, and then ask, and then the judge will make husband to work and then pay the maintenance. So this is what actually Sharia is saying. That's the reason why Sharia most of the time ask man to work for the family. But it doesn't mean that Sharia is stopping women to work. And that's because it doesn't mean that the Sharia wants to stop women to work. Women can work, but women should not work on the basis that she has to take care of the family. Remember, This is what Sharia says. Sharia doesn't say that she has to go to work because she has to take care of the family. Taking care of the family is the job of the husband, job of the boys, job of the man. And then the reason Sharia allowing her to go for work is because she actually can work for her, for her own. She can she can add to her property. She can buy whatever that she wants. That is the right the Islam, the Sharia gives her. But most importantly, what is the most important um, uh, 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 instruction that given by the Sharia to the women? Women should take care of the family, especially the children, especially the bringing up, the brought up. That is very important, because the parenting, most importantly, it is especially when it comes to guidance, when it comes to taking care of the children. It comes to because the woman is playing the role in the society, because she is actually creating a society. That is the nature of the woman, because she is creating the society. She should not fail in creating that, in doing that. That is quite important. She cannot say that I work for the maintenance, that's the reason why I was not able to take care of my son and my daughter, so I gave it to somebody, maybe in the nursing home, maybe in the kindergarten. Huh? So that's not the real excuse a woman can give. A woman should provide, should take care of because she is the reason why any children, any child will become good or bad. If the husband, I mean, if the wife, if the mother is doing the right thing, then the mother is creating good society. If the mother is behind money all the time, if the mother is behind, the dunya all the time, and then she just want to earn money, and then all the time go outside, do shopping, and if she doesn't care about the children, and she is always earning money, then she has to be Allah will ask the questions to her. Allah will ask her, why did you neglect your obligation? Because you see, now the obligation again comes. When it comes to children, the children has the right to ask the parents, why you did not take care of me? That goes to mother and also the father. At the same time, Sharia is allowing every woman to go to work for her own, not for the nafaqah, not for the maintenance. That's why boys, I know it's very difficult to hear, but this is the truth. This truth cannot be changed, because this is the Sharia. Sharia, this is what Sharia says, right? Yes, Locke.
Sir,
Ah,
sorry to cut you off. May I ask? Can I say that, like the men need to provide the maintenance is such. For example, I need to work and earn more money, to buy a house and give the protection to my children and also my wife. This is my obligation. But
mm,
for my wife obligation is to take care the children and to take care the family. That is the main obligation for the women. My main obligation is to earn the money and give the protection to my family members. Is it
mm.
correct?
Exactly. This is what we call, institute of family. It's called family institution. You see, if this is how it's been developed for so long. Meaning to say that a woman can go out and she can buy, she can earn anything that she want, but her priority is the family institution. The family must be there, the family. So starting from husband, because at the beginning of the marriage it will be only husband, then you have your husband's family, and then you also have your own wife's family, and then you have, once the child comes, and then there are so many priorities to given for the child. That's why I have seen so many women, working women, they take a sabbatical, sometimes even 2 years and 3 years. I really appreciate it. They are the working women. But when it comes to baby, they don't work right after the delivery. They stay until the baby grown up. For example, 2 years, 3 years. They stay with the baby. And then they ask the husband to go for work and then do all the maintenance, which is actually very good, because that is the time. It's not that only the baby need mother, the baby also need a good strength, health, right? And then also a good sustenance. So these are the things only mother can give. We can the other even though we hire some people, professionals are there, but the way that mother can take care of the baby, no one can do that. That is very, very important. And then once the baby is good enough, old enough, but the priority must be given to the baby, right? And then yes, she can, of course she can go for work, there is no doubt. But the nafaqah, when it comes to maintenance part, it comes under husband. Husband must start from the wife and then children. Just now you said children and then wife. No, it's actually the wife first. Maintenance start to the wife and then goes to the children as well. All right. So this is what we call the Islamic institution of family. Okay. Here you need to understand now the rights over person. Now let's go and talk about rights over a property. So this one, there is a property, and what are the things that you can do with that property? And then what are the things that the property itself need? For example, there is a property, the property need maintenance, the management. So those are the things that goes to those are the rights go to property. Like the right over a property is confined to the property itself, like the right over the right of ownership, which enables the owner to use or exploit his property within the limits ordained by the law. Example, the right of the lessee to use the leased asset for a specific period. So this is what the rights over property. Let's say I gave you my house on rental basis. So for that particular 30 days, it is your right to use the property, which means the usifrakt of the property, the manfa'ah of the property. So for those 30 days, you can actually have it in a proper way, whatever the way it is allowed. It doesn't mean that I can break the wall. It doesn't mean that I can change all the furnitures, because this is a rented house. So there are certain terms and agreement. We always go, when we go to a rental house, there is an agreement. They said, okay, these are the things you are supposed to do. These are the things you cannot do. These are the things you should ask permission before you do. We agree to that terms and terms and agreement. So that should be followed. Right over properties are abolished when the properties are destroyed. For example, the contract of lease is terminated when the asset is destroyed. Of course, if the property is not there, let's say I gave you the car on rental basis for 30 days, but suddenly after 3 days or 5 days, something happened, maybe accident or fire, the property destroyed, which means that, of course, the property destroyed, together with that, the rights also will be destroyed. The rights over property are given priority over the rights over a person. Okay, this is something important. The rights over property are given priority over the rights over a person. What does it mean? Example, in settlements of debts, a pledgee's debt is settled prior to other debts. You see here, you are dealing with so many things. Let's say there is a man who has to pay money to so many people. All right, there is a man, let's say, who recently died, but he has to settle to many people. So now after the death, now maybe the judge is actually looking for the movable property, so that he wanted to convert into cash, and then he wanted to settle to all those creditors. But the judge saw something. For example, the deceased, the one who died, who also has a mortgage. For example, he has a pledged. He pledged. For example, he pledged a house. For example, rahnu. I think you know the word rahnu. There is a he given the rahnu, and then based on that he took some money from someone. Usually, what is rahnu? Rahnu means I give you my house, you keep that house, and you pay me 100,000 ringgit. Once I give you back 100,000 ringgit, I can take back the house from you. Or maybe the car, for example, take my car and give me 10,000 ringgit. Once I give you back 10,000 ringgit, I can take the car back from you. This is what we call rahnu. Okay, it's like a loan. You take the loan, but there must be a collateral. There must be something that you should give. So now this rule applies. The rights over property are given priority over the rights over a person. So like I told you, there are so many people who wanted to the demised, the person, the died person who's supposed to settle to many people. At the same time, he has to also settle to someone, that someone has his property, for example. So now, according to Sharia, first you should settle that person who has your property as a pledge, as a rahnu, so that you can settle him. Let's say 10,000 ringgit, you settle him, and then you take back the house first, or you take back the car first. This is how you should give the priority. The remaining all will be equally treated. For example, I cannot say, oh, he is the one, he's a VIP, he's a big company, he's a big bank, so this guy must be given priority, this guy must be given priority, you must settle his amount first, you must. No, it's not like that. Example, in cases of those who have rights over person, those who have rights over a person are usually treated equally. Example, in cases of bankruptcy or settlements of debt, or debts of the deceased, the debt are settled pro rata. Pro rata means in proportion, meaning to say that it has to be equally settled. That is what we call pro rata. Settled pro rata, and one creditor is got given priority. I mean, it's actually not. It's not got. Sorry, my mistake. Okay, and one creditor is not given priority over the creditors. All right, that is what we call when we settled. When we are settling, everybody has to be equally treated. Then we go to number 4.
Sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, sorry. Actually, I want may I ask about the.
Yes.
So, can I say that, like for the asset, if today I borrow a car from my friend, and I borrow my friend a car, and he pay me like, it's not like borrow, it's like directly take. He take my car and he pay me like 10,000 ringgit. But now the car is destroyed. So in this condition, do I need to pay him back the money?
No, that is the question. Did you rent from him, or did you buy from him? That is the question. Or your friend, did he rent or did he buy? For example,
if I'm buying it,
or you are talking about rahnu, the one we are talking here.
Yes, yes.
Is it, if you are talking about pledgee? If you are talking about pledgee, because pledge is something that you give to someone and then you take the money. Now you have to give money to take your property. Am I right? So
Yes.
now in your case, you say that you gave him the car and then you took 10,000 ringgit from him, which means that he destroyed the car. So if he destroyed the car, he has to be the responsible. He has to be the responsible. Until he give you back the car, you don't have to give the money back.
Oh.
Because that is what because he has to protect the car. That's why the rahnu means the banks are protecting for example the gold, right?
Yes.
They have to protect the gold, and then that's the reason why there is also a protection fee. There is a fee always comes. It is called protection fee. Actually, for the safety and security, you must be paying for it, because it is not that cheap. It is expensive as well. So now if he destroyed it, then he should be the responsible to give you back. He has to give you back. Anyone destroyed it, he has to give. He has to be the responsible. Got it? Okay.
Yes.
Number 4, rights that can be waived and rights that cannot be waived. You see, there are, we talked about the rights, but is there any rights that can be waived? Yes, there are some of them can be waived, but most of them cannot be waived. For example, rights of Allah cannot be waived. No one can come and say that, okay, you have to do this for Allah, so let me do it for you. Not possible. All rights of human or private rights can be waived. But yeah, you have to pay 1,000 ringgit to this man, but you don't have to pay. I will pay on your behalf. It is possible, right? Anything that I have to do for Allah, it is only me who should do that. But if there is a human being, we have the settlement, of course, the rights. For example, even I can say, it's okay, you don't have to pay me. Let's say you borrow 1,000 ringgit from me, and then after 1 month, I felt like, okay, I say, you don't have to pay me. I can waive that. That's why all human rights can be waived. There are certain human rights cannot be waived. This is important. There are some exceptions. What are the exceptions? A, future rights cannot be waived. A partner could not waive his right of preemption in a property which is not offered for sale. For example, whatever that the things didn't happen, because these rights have not yet come into existence, they cannot be waived. So something that is not happening, suddenly you cannot waive that right. Anything, actually, it is not only for the preemption. Preemption is an example. Preemption is an example. But it has to happen. If it didn't happen, you cannot waive that right. I cannot say, okay, the next time when you sell your house, I want to waive my exemption, pre-exemption right. No, that you should do that during the time. You cannot do now, because in future rights cannot be do that. That's the thing. Then we have B, authoritative. For example, all these authoritative rights established by the Sharia. You see, who should be the guardian? It is actually established by the Sharia. The right of a father. The father cannot come and say that I don't want to be the father. No. The guardianship, anyone who is a guardian, it could be uncle or grandfather, anyone from the family, the guardian cannot waive his rights. This is the number B. Number C, rights which if waived may result in changes to the law cannot be waived. For example, a person cannot waive his right to use his own property or disown or abandon it. The property would become without an owner and the law does not allow it. See, this is something also important. Someone cannot abandon his property. You know, there is a house and that house require maintenance and this and that, but suddenly he wanted to disown, and then he say, I don't care about the house, or I abandon the house. Which actually, according to the law, this is not correct. Someone has to be the owner, because owner should be the responsible. If you have the property, you must be the responsible. Otherwise, you should transfer or you should give to somebody. That's why any property should not be available without owner, without a owner. If there is no owners at all, then you know what happens, the government will take it, the government will become the owner. The state will become the owner, and then the state will do the maintenance. That's why no one can do that. No one disown or abandon any property. Then you have another types of rights. The right if waived, other person's right will be affected. For example, mother cannot waive her right in the custody of her children, right? Because if a mother waive her right, then definitely it is difficult for children. If mother come and say, I don't want to, this is quite strange. Sometimes, we see there are some cultures says that, yeah, I am the reason why there is a baby in your womb, in your tummy, but I don't want to be responsible. Some culture accept it, but Islam does not accept it. Some cultures say, okay, if you don't want to be responsible as a father, it's all right. I will become the single mother. So if this is the way how single mothers are created, how single mothers are becoming, then this is not the right way. Which the single mother that we talk, according to the Sharia, is actually someone who actually lost the husband. Maybe the husband died. Only when husband died, she become the single mother. Other than that, maybe when it becomes divorce also, she is not necessarily she has to be the single mother, because the husband still pay nafaqah even though divorced. So the single mother concept cannot come according to Sharia, because when there is a divorce, the husband should pay what we call it alimony, what we call it, the things, we have terms for that. The nafaqah must be paid for the children. For the children, maybe for the husband will not pay for the mother, because mother is entitled to get another marriage. She is preferred. If there is a divorce case, she is always preferred to go and get married, okay, looking for another marriage. But the children still has to get the nafaqah from the husband, not the mother. All right, it should the husband, which means the father. Sorry, now it's not husband, because after the divorce is not husband anymore. I'm talking about the father. Okay, the father. So here you can see that a mother cannot waive her right in the custody of her children. What number 5? Heritable and non-heritable rights. So these are the heritables, meaning that there are some property comes together with some rights. So when that property goes to the heirs, goes to the children after the demise of the owner, then the rights also follow. Rights intended to serve the purpose of guarantee can be inherited. Example, a pledged property can be kept by the heirs of the pledgee after the latter dies. So you see, now in the case, for example, father was holding a house in the basis of pledge, rahnu, suddenly he passed away. The children will hold it. The children will hold it until the person, the real owner, comes and pay the money. Then the children will take the money and equally they will split. They will share the money, and then they will return back the house or the property. So the rights comes together. Also, rights related to immovable property, it is called hukukul irtifaq, such as the right of water and the right of the way can be inherited. You see, no one is actually owning, for example, irrigation. When it comes to the land, there is when you buy the land, let's say agricultural land, there is also irrigation, the water irrigation. So now you are owning the land, and then there is also road to that land. So you see the road connecting to the land, or the water irrigation comes and then supply water to your land. You are not the owner of the road, you are not the owner of the water irrigation, but this road and the water irrigation is actually a shared property, which means that everyone who has the land in that particular area can use that road. Whoever has the land in that particular area can use that water irrigation. This is what we call hukuk al-irtifaq. Can someone tell me the modern example for hukuk al-irtifaq? The modern example, you own a property, but there are certain things comes together whereby everybody share, but it don't go to one person. One person cannot own it, but that particular thing goes to everybody in that particular place. Can anyone give me example?
So how about the electricity?
Very good, very good. You can mention electricity lines, you can mention swimming pool in the apartment, you can mention the lift in the apartment,
Or
you
the
can say, exactly, you can say parking, you can say even, you can say the garden, the taman, every taman has a garden, right? The playground, these are the things can be called hukuk al-irtifaq. All right, so these are the rights will also follow. It's not that when someone passed away, the property goes to the children. The same children also entitled to get these rights. Rights, what we call hukuk al-irtifaq. Okay, remember the word hukuk al-irtifaq. Okay, these rights that follow the land and are included in it. Anyone who inherits or own the land also owns these rights. Next is option of determination or defects can be inherited as subservient to the property itself. Let's say someone bought and then he still has the time to return. This is what we talk about, the big product that people buy online. For example, they pay thousands and thousands to buy, but there is a return and refund policy within the certain period. So now let's say he passed away, then the product will go to one of the inheritance, the heirs. So that heirs also can use the option of determination or defect. We will discuss about this later because we have a separate chapter for options, which is refund and returns. Options of conditions or inspection cannot be inherited among Hanafi and Zahiri. According to majority, can be inherited. Why there is a differences? Now don't worry about it. Now just remember this. But later we will discuss what are the differences, options of conditions, what are the differences between options of determination and inspection. Don't bother now. We will discuss this later, right? Okay, non-heritable rights are things related to the person and end with his death, and no right left for him after his death. For example, rights related to his thought or honesty, guardianship over his oneself or his money. This is all goes with him. It doesn't go to somebody. Yeah? For example, if my father is a great scholar in a great field, doesn't mean that the son will also become the great scholar. Similarly, if my father is the prime minister or the chief minister of a country, suddenly son also become the chief minister or prime minister of country. Cannot, unless the people in democracy they choose him. So this is how the things like we call it, these are the non-heritable rights. These are the non-heritable rights, but the legislations are different if they agree. But these are the things, the thoughts and the honesty, even the guardianship will cannot continue to his son. If there is a guy who is a guardian of a boy, if he passed away, the judge has to decide who will be the next guardian. It is not automatically the son of the guardian will become the guardian, right? Okay, the next one is actually we finished all those classification of rights. So here we are only talking about what is the misuse or abuse of rights. If a person does something which is not his right, this is considered injustice. However, if he does some action which is his right, but he does it in an improper way, it is considered the misuse of right. Of course, if you are using it in an improper way, then it become abuse of right. Person has to exercise his right in a proper way that will not harm others, and it should be in accordance with the Sharia's teaching. I'll give you example. Yeah, when the exercise of a right lead to a greater harm to the society, an individual is deprived of his right in order to prevent a common harm. So you see, this is what actually today happening. People will come and say, I have all the right to do it. Who are you to stop me? Who are you to ask me? Who are you to tell me? You know, this kind of attitude is right now people are holding in many places all over the world. That's the reason why people are today in greater harm. I'll give you a few examples. For example, hoarding is prohibited. You know, hoarding is something that you keep the stuff with you, which is your right. You can actually keep the stuff, but at the same time you keep it, it becomes hoarding until the people get suffering because of hoarding. For example, you bought all the sugar in the country and then you keep it. It looks like you are doing it looks like that you are doing the proper thing because you are just buying the sugar. But your intention to buy the sugar is actually you just want to, because sugar is the most important and necessity. Because we are not talking about something, there are differences. The necessity items, of course, the government will always say that, you know, sugar, wheat, I know, flour, and then vegetables, and these are the things that are necessity. Rice, oil, these are the necessity things, necessary items. If someone hoarding the necessary items, it is actually illegal to hoard, because the reason he is hoarding because he wanted to sell it after some time with double price. He wanted to make money out of it, which is actually prohibited. Monopoly, black marketing, stopping the rider. This is called talaqi rukban, meaning stopping the rider means, you know, before he reached the market, someone stop him. Let's say in Selayang, people are selling the vegetables and they know the market price, but someone stopping before he reaches Selayang and then he buy everything from him and then he comes to the market and then he sell it for the double price. He sell it for the double price. This is what we called stopping the rider. And then sale of weapons during civil war, sale of grapes for wine making, or sale of grapes for winemaking are prohibited. All these things looks like doing the proper thing, but because of the improper intention, it is called abusing the rights. Even though you have the right to keep it, but it will become abusing the right because of this, people are getting harmed. Similarly, today we can tell that so many things that we are harming this universe because of certain actions. You know, the globe is getting warm, what we call global warming, right? It's all happening because of the individual mistake, and when someone is actually controlling it, and then he wanted to do anything that he wants, because of that, it's called become monopoly, and that monopoly it cause severe problem to the people. Then it should be prohibited. Another example is a person cannot make a will, wasiya, that would result in a harm to the creditors or the heirs. You know, making wasiya means will. I think you know the meaning of the will. A will, writing will is actually something is your right, but at the same time you cannot do that while you have to pay to your creditors. When you have to pay some certain money to the bank, you know, you cannot practice writing the wasiya, writing the will. A person is suffering from mortal disease, may divorce his wife, but this exercise of his right cannot deprive the wife from inheritance. So this is something amazing. This is what actually Sharia says. This is amazing. You know, there is a mortal disease. Someone is about to die, and there is no way that he can come back to life. Maybe after certain months, maybe after 6 months, he's going to die. Right now, the wife is there waiting for him. So now he can divorce the wife so that the wife can go and you know, marry, and then she can actually have a good life. Not necessary with this, because there is no hope that this man. It is good you stay until he die, which is actually good. But at the same time, the wife, she has the right to go. We need to understand this, because sometimes we see that this is we see and then we decide and then we judge. We say that, oh, this is not fair. You know, we always tell when we see others it's not fair. But when it happens to me, when it happens to us, then only we will realize how difficult it is. If there is a wife wanted to leave, then the society will tell, how can you leave? This is not fair. But when I'm having the kind of problem, then only I will realize that what is the point of being here. So now there is a permission for a wife. The Sharia because Sharia didn't say that you have to be there until the end, because Sharia is not actually compelling anyone. There is no compulsory things from Sharia comes when it comes to decide this kind of thing. The Sharia allow, like the law allow her, if she wants to get married, if she wants to leave the husband, she can leave, because it is called a mortal disease, which means that the husband cannot come back. He will not become like last time. There is no hope. That's why we call it mortal disease. Maybe he is in coma, for example. A man in coma, there is no way that he is coming back. He's going to die because all his body and also organs all failing. So now the wife can leave. So now when the wife leave, or when she has been divorced, or she asks for the khula, she goes. But that cannot deprive the wife from inheritance, because she didn't. Because usually the divorced will not get the inheritance after the death of the husband, the previous ex-husband. But in this case, that's not the case. She can actually still, she will be among those who get the divorce, because she didn't. Sorry, who get the inheritance, because she didn't divorce for her own purpose. She divorced because of the circumstances. A person is prevented from raising a wall of his house in a way that would harm the neighbors by preventing light and air, or opening window in a way that would take away his neighbor's privacy. See, this is also, it's your right. You can build your house. You can raise your wall. But can you build until there is no light, there is no air goes to your neighbor house? I can play my video, I can play my TV, but can I raise the volume until my neighbor is getting disturbed? I have my own window, I can open my window, and then can I just open my window, I see what happened in the neighbor house? So these are the things we call abusing the rights. Even though you have the right to do, but it will be called abusing the rights because of certain problems that comes together with the neighbors or others. Anyone having problem with this, even though it is your right, but we should not do that, because it is kind of misusing the right. This thing actually most of the time people didn't taking it at I mean they don't consider it an important thing, but it happens all the time. They say it is my right, I'm doing the thing, but intentional but if you look into the nature of that kind of act, it's actually something that harming, but not directly but indirectly. So we need to understand that it is called abuse of right. When a certain action is done without proper care, as a result of which harm would be caused to others, the person is held liable. For example, surgeon performs an operation with negligence, as a result of which the patient suffers or dies. This is one example. Because if there is no proper care and which could harm others, the person become liable. If he is there with knowledge and then it happens, is okay. But if someone do without knowledge, with negligence, without the knowledge, then because of that, if the patient suffers or die, then the surgeon has to become the responsible. The hospital should become the responsible. It happens sometimes when there is a baby comes out, and then it died, not because of the mother, but it because of the mistreatment happened in the hospital. So the hospital should be responsible. I know we agree is Allah is the one who created this. We agree this is what we call qada qadar, we call taqdeer. We give so many names. We need to be patient. We need to be, this is all good. We have to be patient. We have to ask Allah the help. We have to accept the fact, what we call it qada qadar, the fact. But at the same time, there must be someone responsible for this. If it is true that this thing happened because of the hospital's SOP, because of the problems, because of the negligence of the doctor, then they should come in front of law, because nobody is above the law. Nobody is above the law. A lessor is under duty to make certain that the house or the car has rented out or in proper condition and produce the necessary benefits. So this is also another thing. The one who leases the house, if I give you my car for rental, I need to make sure that that car is running, that car is good. I didn't do anything, and then I didn't manage it properly. I didn't what they call it, I did not repair it for so long. I didn't change the black oil for so long, and suddenly I gave you my car, and then you use it only for 2 days, and then suddenly it stuck, or maybe stopped, or maybe something burned inside. Of course you are not the responsible. I should be the responsible, because I did not do the maintenance before I give it to you. That's why when I give you my house, when I give you my car, I need to make sure that it is perfectly right, it can produce the necessary benefit. All right then. Okay, so that's all from me.
Sir,
Yes.